So my PhD was looking at stability in residential care. I was just looking at it in New South Wales, but I don't imagine that findings would be massively different around Australia, but I haven't done that. So I was interested in looking at stability because decisions get made about where to place children in residential care. And, I believe firmly that everyone does the best that they can do with the information that they have. But from my experience, there was very little frameworks guiding how decisions are made. It's rather just a matching template that someone's put together and you kind of hope for the best. And so I thought, well, what do we do with that? What do we do with that information? And so I wanted to explore stability, this, sort of broad concept. And when I started looking at the literature, I found that not only is there not much research that looks at stability, there's virtually none. There's very little that looks at instability. There is virtually none that looks at stability itself. But I think I found two. I think I found two papers that actually looked at stability, not instability. And they found that there was virtually no effect of stability. Instability is bad, stability,
No effect.
null. And I thought, well, that doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. So what do we do with that? So then I dug a little deeper, and the conclusion I came to when I was looking at this sort of broad brush of stability and instability research is that they were measuring stability in basically a placements over time form. So X number of placements in X amount of time is stable. Y amount of placements in X amount of time is unstable, right? Pick a time frame, 12 months, 18 months. If you have 0 or 1 moves in that time, you've got stability. If you have more than that, you have instability. Let's look at the outcomes. And I thought, well, if I was just told I have to leave my house today, I'm just told I have to get out for no reason, and I don't know where I'm going. I could be in my next house for 12 months, but I don't know how secure I would feel because, well, now I know I can just get kicked out.
At any time.
Is not moving placements for a period of time sufficient to be considered stability? Shock? The answer is no. And so my research was trying to unpack what constitutes stability. And look, to be honest with you, it's really basic. It's really simple. And I genuinely worried that the PhD wouldn't pass because it's so straightforward. But actually was really, really well regarded, really well regarded. And I think that's because while nothing I found is, jaw-droppingly remarkable, it puts an academic basis to what we all essentially know to be true, even if we haven't thought about it that way before. And so essentially the findings were that relationships are what make stability. For the young people that have strong, profound relationships with the staff members that they live with, they feel stable. They have good outcomes. And for those that don't, they don't feel stable. And the outcomes are potentially iffier, depending on where they may find that stability from. So obviously, remaining in a placement for a prolonged period of time is a fundamental part of stability. You can't build relationships, you can't have anything else, but it's just not enough. It's not the core feature, it's not the defining feature of stability. Does that make sense?
Yeah. There's two things that I wonder about listening to you speak about. The first of it is why were you interested in stability as a research, a topic of research interest? And The second bit I was going to say was probably more an observation, but of the last little bit, which was talking about relationships and connection. I wondered whether you considered belonging, a sense of belonging in that.
Yes, that was actually one of the findings. Yes, quite
Mm,
literally. So, I mean, look, my thesis is massively long. You're welcome to read it. But absolutely, belonging
mm,
was a key thing that was part of it. Um, I, it's going to take me forever if I rattled through the thesis to try and find it. Um, but that sense of having a home, that sense of
mm,
belonging to someone. So one of my favorite quotes in the whole thesis, in all of my research, was I talked to a young man who had some really solid relationships with some staff he'd worked with for a long time. And he was telling me about the relationship he had with them. And he
mm,
said that he felt loved. And I said, oh, wow. So, yeah, made a difference to you that you felt like they really cared about you? And he said, no, I felt loved. And he
mm,
corrected me. I had undersold it. I underplayed what he was saying to me
mm,
um, for whatever reason. And he said, no, I felt loved. And those staff, I mean, at the time, it was a good couple of years ago that I interviewed him, but at that time, he said that those staff knew his children, that he still called them if he needed a hand. And I would imagine
mm,
that that was still going on now. And, another, actually, a few of them told me that the staff knew their children after they had left and they were still in touch with them. A number of staff had referred them to me for my research. So they had strong
mm,
enough relationships that they could do that. Um, and those people spoke really highly of their time in residential care. They
mm.
felt that they belonged to someone, that there was someone who cared for them, someone who loved them, someone who would protect them, someone who liked them.
Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? When you contrast that with with other roles in the sector. So, for example, the therapeutic role, the role of the therapist, and especially long-term therapy with young people in out-of-home care. That's something that has been, I guess, the mainstay of my practice over the last 30 years. Um, as a psychologist, we have different boundaries
Mm.
around our work, but it is the case, though. I have had the same phone number since about 2001. So, so the young people still contact me that I knew. Not all of them, obviously, but quite a number of them do. And I think that that's yes, it stems from feeling like they mattered
Yes,
to me. And we hung around. Yeah, we
yes.
hanging around for them. And I wonder the other part of my question was just about what piqued your interest in stability versus it. What did you think was the case in relation to instability before you did your interviews?
I don't know. Look, as I said, I don't think anything came out of it that I was like, what? Oh my goodness, that's amazing. There were a number of moments of, wow, that's so cool, but very little was shocking.
Yeah.
No one said, oh, actually, it's having eggs for breakfast on a Saturday, where you go, what? Wow, okay, fair enough. It all made sense. It was about feeling cared about. It was about feeling safe. It was about um, the staff showed up. you know.
Mm,
What was maybe a little bit surprising and unexpected was that no one really talked about co-resident stability. That was less
mm,
of an issue. I don't know that anyone really raised it.
mm,
If I asked about it, they'd all not all actually, a number of them would say, yeah, yeah, that matters. Um, but that didn't really come up. And even then, it sort of felt like it was a bit more of, if it's good, that's great. If it's bad, it's bad.
mm,
But if it's okay, that's fine. That doesn't really matter.
mm,
And I thought that would have been more of a feature.
Absolutely. I do too. I think in foster care, where you've got multiple young people fostered in the same home environment, and one of the children moves out, um, then I think I've always thought and observed that that can be quite destabilizing for the children who remain in that placement.